You're listening to a Roddenberry podcast.
Mission Log Prodigy, a Roddenberry Star Trek podcast. Episode 22, Into the Breach, Part 2.
Welcome into another episode of Mission Log Prodigy, a Roddenberry Star Trek podcast. I'm Charlene Schmidt.
And I'm Marina Kravchuk. Just like our flagship Mission Log podcast, each week here on Mission Log Prodigy, we discuss each and every episode of this animated series, discover what makes each of them special, and see if there are any morals, meanings, or messages that we may have learned.
And this week, we continue our look at Into the Breach with Part 2. Please remember that Mission Log Prodigy is an in-depth review podcast, so if you have not seen Into the Breach Part 2 yet, put us on pause, go watch the episode. What are you doing here? We'll still be here when you get back. Then come back and hear us talk all about it.
Mission Log Prodigy is produced for YouTube and as a regular podcast, so please be sure to engage the like and share buttons and subscribe to us here on Roddenberry Entertainment YouTube channel. Please make sure to listen on podcast.roddenberry.com, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or wherever you listen to Roddenberry podcasts. You can also follow Mission Log Prodigy on Twitter at ML_Prodigy to keep up with all the latest news and updates.
Now, before we jump into this week's recap, here is why our podcast is so unique. It's the best part, because we want to hear from you, the younger Prodigy fans out there who'd like to share their thoughts on the show. Last week, we put out the call for your reactions to this episode, Into the Breach, Parts 1 and 2, and you're answering. The stuff's coming in. It's so exciting. Thank you. And we hope you'll come back again this week and tell us what you think about Episode 3, Who Saves the Saviors? How do you do that? Glad you asked. Here is a quick refresher. Please send us a 1 to 2 minute voice message at missionlog-prodigy@roddenberry.com and tell us the following. What is your first name and age? Did you like the episode? What was your favorite part? And what did you learn? Now, the deadline for Who Saves the Saviors is Saturday, July 13th, as of when we're recording this. So please get your comments in before then so they can be featured at the end of our next show.
So to start things off with today's discussion of Into the Breach Part 2, here are our answers to those exact same questions. So,
Yeah.
Char, so how about you? Did you like the episode?
I sure did. Yeah, things are getting underway here. We're learning more about the secret mission, and plenty of shenanigans are already underway. No surprise there. Gwyn meeting the earlier version of her father was touching, and I'm so glad that we, and therefore we as the audience, get to see a completely different version of this character. It was so cool.
Yeah, I loved it. There's just so much packed. We talked about it last time. There's so much packed in this 20 plus minutes of the episode. And we get a very nice comprehensive continuation to part 1. So, like remember those story pathways where I'm like, well, I'm predicting this is where we're going to be heading, sort of like 3 ways. Well, 2 of them are actually happening. So, the secret mission gets underway and it gets a very unexpected and seemingly hugely problematic boost from our crew. And this is a wonderful feeling of like, what now? I mean, it's not like necessarily a drop off. Like but we literally don't know what's going to happen now. That was an unexpected ending, I thought.
Good suspense building.
Yeah.
So, favorite part? I think mine has to be when Janeway has the emergency meeting with the kids, tells them the secret part of their mission. And it's all about the emotion.
Yeah.
Because the emotion that came out of that scene, if for whatever reason you need context for how much Janeway and Chakotay care about one another, watch this scene.
Mm-hmm.
For one thing, you're going to get it because the kids certainly did. And I really appreciated how, as they pieced things together in their heads, how profoundly it affected them. That was really well done.
Yeah, absolutely.
How about you?
There was several moments in this particular episode and this particular scene, most certainly, for sure. And there's a corresponding scene at the end of the episode when Infinity goes into the wormhole and you can just realize this pure heartbreak on Janeway's part. It's like, no, it's too soon. What are we going to do now? And yeah, that cruise moment, it's such a simple scene, but I think that that makes it also complex at the same time. This pure realization and understanding that this kid, that Chakotay sacrifice, what it means in, in their lives in the grander scheme of things. So then, the entire time paradox basically hinges on this particular thing. I also really, really like the moment when Gwyn meets her father. He's like unexpectedly, absolutely endearing person. He's so completely unlike the diviner, and who ultimately is completely delighted to learn that he has this alien daughter that's displaced in time and place, both in time and play and space. So that I can't wait to see how that develops. But it was just absolutely sweet, absolutely sweet. So what do we learn in a nutshell?
So I think there's a big overarching theme in this episode, and this is a constant throughout a lot of Star Trek, but certainly here, I'd say it's the time and the people and the experiences that you have shape the person that you are and who you become. I have more to say on this. Like, I don't want to say too much right up front at the top because I have a lot more to put more succinctly in the wrap up because I really think this theme is what encapsulates the story.
Absolutely. It's a major part of the episode for sure. And I also, if I may say so, the series as well. And as you said, Star Trek as a whole. My point would be slightly on a lesser scale, I suppose. Like, well, what were we talking about in the last episode? Will secret ever stay a secret? Secrets can be dangerous. You have to be so careful when you're handling information, especially in this case, we're talking about highly classified information. The fact that our crew being kids, and they're so gleeful about being, in the know. It's like, oh, we're not even in the academy, and yet here we are, being part of this thing. And ultimately, this actually leads into the seemingly irreparable situation at the end of the episode. I mean, of course, we have this additional layers to it, the fact that you have an admiral, revealing classified information and trying to, but at the same time, she is not recording it. It's still secret. And I suppose for all we know, Janeway actually had some kind of a plans of how to utilize the gifts of the crew. And well, we don't actually get to find that out because obviously Infinity goes into the hole, so all plans just go completely out of the window.
Yes,
here we are.
Absolutely. Yeah, nothing can go entirely according to plan. That's just not the way life works.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for your answers. How about we jump into the recap for Into the Breach Part 2? This episode was written by Aaron J. Waltke and directed by Andrew L. Schmidt and Patrick Krebs. Here we go. We catch up with Gwyn, who is nervously reading first contact protocols for the upteenth time. The shuttle pilot tries to reassure her as they approach Solum, but Gwyn knows how much is at stake. Ready or not, here she goes. The Vau N'Akat natives are shocked by Gwyn's sudden appearance via transporter, but she says to not be afraid and explains that she, one of them, has traveled in the stars with explorers from the Federation. Her introduction is cut short when a couple of guards insist she come with them, and she does. She repeats her introduction to the elders of Solum, telling them that the Federation is made up of peaceful worlds. The Vau N'Akat have gifts they can share with the universe if they are open to acknowledging that they are not alone in the universe. Unfortunately, Essentia has already told the Vau N'Akat about the Federation, but her version. She explains that Gwyn is the traitor she warned the elders would come to destroy their world. Gwyn insists to the elders that Essentia's story is bogus. Essentia retorts by presenting her younger self as proof that she is true Vau N'Akat. Gwyn, who was not born on Solum, cannot do that. The elders order the guards to seize Gwyn, who attempts an escape. She calls for an emergency transport, but two Vau N'Akat ships destroy the shuttle she was on. She is truly alone. Cut to Voyager, who has reached the unstable time rift on the edge of the Beta Quadrant. Janeway believes that Chakotay is on the other side, stranded 52 years in the future. Dal is determined to find out why Janeway lied about their mission, or at least omitted important facts. They nearly run into one of the Nova Squadron candidates in the corridor who hopefully didn't hear anything important from this group of flunkies, as you were. Undeterred by Rock's pleas to stop snooping around in the Jeffries tubes, Dal makes his way to the bridge. Well, above it. And on the bridge, Janeway and crew are investigating another energy fluctuation that's appeared next to the time rift. It's unclear if it is a ship or a life form, but it sends a message. You cannot go into the anomaly. And then it's gone. A vent gives way underneath Dal, and Janeway is not pleased by his surprise appearance. Tyces reminds him no civilians on the bridge and escorts him straight to the turbolift, but not before Dal suggests to Janeway that they meet in Shuttle Bay 3, letting her know that he knows all about her secret mission. Janeway understood loud and clear, and now she wants all of the cadets to meet her in the observation lounge. Now. Back on Solemn, guards are still looking for Gwyn. She's done a good job of evading them thus far and finds her way to an observatory. Her father's observatory. Well, the man who will become her father anyway. It's a shocking reunion for both of them, to say the least. Back on Voyager, Janeway learns that the kids know quite a bit about the Shuttle Bay 3 thing, but they don't know everything. She fills them in. In the 6 months since the Protostar's explosion, Starfleet found the ship's black box and salvaged as much data from it as possible. Among that information was footage of Chakotay and his first officer, 52 years in the future, just before they were captured by the Vau N'Akat and held prisoner as the Protostar became a weapon. In the months that followed, they were planning to escape and commandeer the ship, but Chakotay lost his first officer in combat. Chakotay did the next best thing he could think of and also left a message for Janeway. I'm doing this for you. That's when he sent the Protostar through the wormhole and into the past, where the kids found the ship on Tars Lamora. Through Chakotay's sacrifice, he saved the kids' lives, and they, along with Janeway and Voyager's crew, must now return the favor. It's a classified and dangerous mission, and the added variable of time travel could complicate matters even more. Voyager cannot go through the wormhole until after Chakotay launches the Protostar, and that will happen in approximately 41 hours. If they mess this up, it's possible the Diviner will never find the Protostar, Gwyn will never have been born, and none of them will have ever met. It's a classic time paradox, as Rock explains. You can read all about it in Temporal Mechanics 101. That cloaked ship in Shuttle Bay 3 is the Infinity, designed with temporal shielding to resist time paradoxes. It's their only hope of retrieving Chakotay, which Janeway intends to do. Starfleet doesn't know that yet, so Janeway's counting on the kids to keep this secret until she makes the call. Back on Solemn, Gwyn is telling Iltheron, her father, about how he traveled into the past and tried to prevent the Vau N'Akat from entering into civil war, the same reason why she is here now. It's a lot for him to take in, but Gwyn convinces him that she is telling the truth with her heirloom, because it's also his heirloom. Iltheron is a far cry from the Diviner, and not what Gwyn expected. He cannot fathom ever refusing to help his daughter. He is a lowly astronomer on a world that doesn't care about what exists among the stars, but he will help her however he can. He takes Gwyn to the Arcanum, which is a vault of extensive Vau N'Akat history and knowledge. The dreadnought-like lore keeper instructs Gwyn to put her heirloom into an orb of light. In doing so, Gwyn learns about the Vau N'Ura, the most ancient ritual of her people. Those who succeed are considered the truest of the Vau N'Akat. It hasn't been performed in a millennia, but if Gwyn survives, she will prove herself to the other Vau N'Akat, and they will have to listen to her. On Voyager, the kids cannot believe their luck. They aren't even in the academy yet, but they're part of a secret mission. This time, that Nova Squadron candidate they ran into earlier does pay attention to what they're saying. Her name is Majel, and she summons the other Nova Squad candidates to the shuttle base so they can learn more. Zero tries distracting her, but she reminds them that her Vulcic psychic abilities are enhanced around other telepaths, like them. Whatever she gleans from Zero's mind changes her plans. She must report what she learned to Starfleet Command immediately. The kids engage in a wild goose chase through the Jeffries tubes as they try to beat Nova Squad to the shuttle bays. Nova Squad will inevitably find the Infinity, just as they did, but maybe not if they move the ship. Dal paws around and eventually finds the control panel that opens the doors, but before they can move the shuttle to another bay, Nova Squad catches up. Majel informs Dal that boarding an unsanctioned vessel is forbidden by Federation law and orders him to stand down. Instead, a struggle ensues between our crew and Nova Squadron candidates. In doing so, Jankum accidentally activates Janeway's launch sequence for going through the wormhole. The shuttle doors close, leaving everyone but Dal, Majel, Zero, and Jankum behind. Back on the bridge, the energy fluctuation reappears and tells Janeway that the time is now. Trying not to blow her cover, she explains she has no intention of going through the wormhole, only to see the infinity on the view screen. Janeway's in shock. It's too soon. Voyager can't reel it back in with the tractor beam due to interference. The infinity is caught in the rift's gravity. Strap in, because it's like it or not, they're going in. And that is where we will pick up next week in Who Saves the Saviors.
Oh, it's mind blowing. So much action, and it just literally it is mind blowing.
And we're just getting started.
Just getting started. I know. So so little things that immediately picked up. I mean, again, it's chock full of like stuff that obviously, I mean, the actual action that's going on, little things that are happening to characters. I find it rather endearing that we have, I mean, how many centuries in the future, and we still have the concept of a black box. Isn't that delightful? It's like, yes, and let's make sure that if we suffer a warp core breach, there's still going to be some kind of a little thing that will be made out of material hardy enough to survive a warp core breach. So that's a formation of a wormhole, as you would. So I just thought, like, when she said that, I'm like, that's pretty amazing that it kind of technology carries over the equivalent of a black box.
It's probably built completely different in the 24th century. That's okay. But, some ideas are just going to live on forever, and that's cool.
Yeah. There are a couple of things that kind of stick out. The space anomaly, the fact is like, okay, it's not a ship. It doesn't have any life readings. What is it? The crew is doing their thing, and Janeway's asking, for the answers to her questions. And everybody is really chill about it. And that kind of reminded me like what we had in Voyager, actually, with Starfleet officers. Weirdest part of the job is like, yeah, we came across this thing that doesn't have any readings. Job as usual, let's keep going.
This is business as usual in Star Trek. You make a really good point. Like, this is not terribly, it is unusual, and yet, like, it's also Tuesday.
Yeah, basically. Something else that popped up that I was curious about, and I suppose there is no way to fit it in naturally in the story. I mean, we had a shuttle being destroyed by the Vau N'Akat warships. And so, this part of the story, obviously, this cuts off Gwyn's connection to Starfleet directly. And yet I'm actually curious, and like, there's got to be some kind of reaction at some point, but perhaps it's something that also kind of plays into Admiral Jellicoe, being against this whole involvement with this time paradox, because, they can't lose any more Starfleet personnel and Starfleet equipment.
And we just did with this mission. Yeah. Oh, I cannot wait until we get to our discussion, because one, we answered a question that you brought up last week, and that is Gwyn doing this all on her own? Well, she really actually is now, pretty much.
It's almost shocking. It's basically just her and the shuttle pilot. And she's the one basically serving as, this first contact mission specialist. And she's a kid without any kind of, with only very limited Starfleet training at this point, I would imagine.
Right. She's read a pad a few hundred times probably, and like, we don't know if she's gotten any coaching. It doesn't seem like it, because she left Earth to head over to Solemn, and we've got to discuss. But before we do that, what other little observations do you have?
Well, Sensia kind of has the certainly head above shoulders in terms of, like, she already presented her case. She has, the image to show. Meanwhile, I keep thinking, like, well, yes, Gwyn was not born in Solem, but she does have the heirloom. I mean, that's something that she uses to prove that she is, Diviner's daughter. But, I'm assuming that this, because it is connected to the mental abilities of a given Vau N'Akat, it could have been used as a proof that, yes, she is of the same species. Obviously, she doesn't get a chance because, nothing sees her. So, but I'm curious if, that's something that she could have done later on at some point, and kind of like, I am Vau N'Akat. So sort of
that's a really good point.
Yeah. Speaking of Diviner, well, Iltheron, that's his actual real name. I love the fact that we have this 180-degree turnaround for the character. I mean, obviously, we're talking about character very much different in terms of the time.
Yes.
But he is a very Star Trek character. Here we have this, the lowly astronomer who dreams about the stars, who wants to meet, people from other worlds, and yet he's stuck on the world that doesn't care about any of this, but considers themselves, so far snootier and
Yeah.
snobbier than, like, yeah, we're above everybody else.
He's
So
such a dreamer. I
I
love
I
it.
love that, that you have this yearning, and the fact that he's like, yes, I want to help you. I will help you. It doesn't matter, so he is very, very purely track.
Mhm.
Lovely, lovely, lovely character. So, what about you? Like, any other characters that stuck out for you? Because we get
Oh, yeah.
uh,
Yeah, we got to bring up Majel
yeah,
because she reminds me a little bit of T'Lyn, the Vulcan character
yeah,
that showed up in the last
yeah,
couple of seasons of Star Trek Lower Decks. Only she's like even more hardcore Vulcan, m logic, rules, very strict. I'm reporting this to Starfleet Command immediately type.
yeah. Well, it is. It's like you compare it to Dal. I mean, okay, so Dal being hopeful, she's a hopeful, but it's a little bit on a different level. We're talking about Nova Squadron, so she's a little bit, it's even a
She's
step further.
elite level.
But it is a radically different approach. It's like, yeah, she is playing strictly by the rules. She's going around spouting, the section this, regulation that. Her intention immediately to whistleblow to Starfleet Command that, something's going on the ship. Basically bypassing obviously whatever chain of command that is on the ship. I mean, it's like, wouldn't it be like, oh, maybe I should talk to the captain. Something's going on here. No, it's very, very, and I love the fact that she did the Vulcan nerve pinch. That was just, I'm like, oh, this is just so
Yes.
perfect. That was the thing that literally made Jenkum pass out and hit the launch button.
Yeah, right.
Meanwhile, Dalby's being Dal. Like, I like this
Yeah.
juxtaposition where he's like, and the thing is, like, in this particular episode, his cockiness does pay off when he's like, yeah, I'll meet you in Shadow Bay 3, and it's like, all right,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's true. That does pay off because then he gets the deets
yeah,
on the
yeah.
secret mission. That feels pretty cool. Yeah, sometimes being brash does help. Other times, maybe not so much, and maybe that is the difference is something Dal is going to have to learn.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, speaking of other characters, I love Chakotay's first officer.
Hmm.
He's one of those very rarely seen aliens in Star Trek because he came from the animated series. I think it's in Aurelian. I think that's how you
Yeah,
say it.
I think so, yes.
And yeah, it's just TAS if I recall correctly, and he's been in sparingly so far. So can't wait to see and hear more from that character. I hope. I love the way Dal kind of does the miming act
Yeah.
when he's with finds the cloaking ship. It reminded me of Dr. Gillian Taylor in Star Trek 4, where
Yeah.
she's in Golden Gate Park, Admiral Kirk, And so I really want to coin that whole motion, the Gillian Taylor maneuver. Can we just make that a thing?
Let's do it. That's fun.
Okay.
I love it.
Also, I had to make note of the little in joke that they threw in here because some people are going to think it's a flub, but
Oh,
no, I think knowing our writers and especially Aaron Waltke, this is not a mistake. This was done intentionally as an exaggeration. Last episode we learned that Voyager A has 29 decks, and in the chase scene, essentially, somebody went to deck 32. But this has happened before in Star Trek, and especially in Star Trek 5, where they're on deck 85 or something ridiculous. And so I couldn't help but appreciate that touch. Like, it's so small, you can easily miss it, especially on a first watch, but it's there. And when you find it, it's hilarious.
it's it's too much fun. I love this. The
So much
little, like,
fun.
all the Easter eggs from the really big ones to little tiny ones like that one. That's great. Absolutely
I'm
great.
so excited to just watch the show over and over and over
Yeah, because you
again.
find
Even
more. Yeah.
always the gift that keeps on giving. There will be some new layer, something new to uncover, no matter how many times we watch it. That's kind of the beauty of a show like this that's made with such love and care. And speaking of which, how about we get into
Mhm.
some really like the deeper stuff with our discussion section here? Let's get into some morals and meanings and messages. So, how about you kick us off?
Well, the biggest one that I really liked, the fact, this moment of realization, the Chakotay sacrifice, that, something that happens, and it's, it exists there in time. We're talking 52 years. He did this thing in the future. It has so much impact in the past that affects our crew directly. Sort of like, something that, as we know, a lot of Starfleet officers in multiple series encounter what happens when you put in a situation that's greater than yourself.
Right.
And I thought that this was very nicely presented. Obviously, since this is what we have right now, the mission to save Chakotay, I'm sure that that's going to be far more developed as we go on with the episodes. But it's beautiful. Like I said, it was a very simple scene when it was like, yeah, that's that he put Protostar in the past, and that's what saved us. I thought it was just such a great thing for the characters as a point of character development. It's like yeah, we have to save him, in return.
Yeah.
The something that which, you being a fellow GC shipper would certainly agree
Yeah.
upon
No
is the
shame. I
fact is
admit
that
it.
I love the fact that we have the confirmation validation of the deep bond of Janeway and Chakotay, whether you see them as romantically involved or not. Nevertheless, you have this absolutely beautiful relationship that, continues on and is shown wonderfully. It's so beautifully written. And things that like we only seen very limited interaction between the actual characters so far in season one. So the fact that, Chakotay kind of is at the point in his life where he is an upstanding Starfleet officer, and yet at the same time, his sacrifice, and he is saying, I'm doing this for you. So this relationship between them being fellow officers and friends, and the people who survived Delta Quadrant together, and part of the same command team for a substantial period of time of 7 years. So that's a lovely thing again. And similarly, we don't really have that much time dedicated. Just this moments of beautifully presented emotion in the episode. And again, I am sure that we're going to see more of this as the season goes on.
No
And
doubt.
will we have another developing mystery now? And the talking anomaly. What is that?
Yeah.
So we know it's
Yeah.
not a ship. We know is it even a live being? What is it? So especially the
Yeah.
fact that it literally just shows up and says, "Okay, it's time now." Meanwhile, Jane was like, "It's too early. What are we doing?" So
Who are you and why should I listen to you? What's going
yeah.
on?
Yeah, so that's that. Again, there's so many, as you said, there's so many layers to this. Those three things kind of stick out between everything else that goes on with every single character. So I can't wait to, I can't wait to discuss the
Right?
next episode.
The plot
The
thickens.
plot
So much
thickens.
more to learn. Yes. That's one of the great things is week by week, we can just really pick apart every layer, but we can still get so excited, even though we have watched the whole season, like just seeing it unfold all over
Yeah.
again.
And let's not forget that it's purely from production standpoint of view. What a beautiful views, beautiful ships, beautiful character presentation. It's just gorgeously done season.
All of it. So good. Yeah, I'm still drooling over Voyager A. I mean, I'm still picking up my jaw from the floor. How about we jump into talking about Gwyn
Hmm.
and her experience on Solemn? I, the more I think about this, I'm a little shocked at how this plays out just a little bit.
Yeah.
One, because she just beams down in front of everybody. No subtlety there. Like she's there to
Hmm.
do her thing. And I do have to wonder, is everything that happened to Gwyn from this point forward based on what Essentia told the Vau N'Akat? Meaning, if Essentia had not been there, would this first contact situation have gone completely different? Would it have been okay? Or is this again a kind of? I understand why Gwyn has to do this by herself because as a xenophobic culture, the Vau N'Akat are not going to respond to an outsider. They're just
Yeah.
not. I get that. But I do have to wonder, couldn't have Starfleet had prepared her just a little bit better, given her a little more backup and support in case things did go wrong, not just a shuttle with one other person piloting it. Like, yes, I know things are stretched thin, but this is,
Yeah,
we saw this go awry so fast.
hmm
And
and
no
and
matter
and
how prepared Gwyn was, there was not a good way for her to deal
and
with all of this.
and especially seeing how limited the backup is, because she gets in trouble almost immediately,
Yeah.
and there's no way. It's like that's it. The shuttle's gone, and what now?
So, yeah, I don't know if I feel terribly great about that. It seems like poor decisions on Starfleet's part, but that's just me. But also, it might also be that Gwyn was not necessarily expecting Essentia
Yeah,
to be there.
that's true.
And Essentia ruined everything,
Hmm.
basically.
Yeah.
I mean, she's already told the elders about Gwyn, telling the lie that this imposter is coming here to destroy our society. How dare she? She also, as prepared as Gwyn is, Essentia has a PowerPoint slide essentially to show the
Yeah.
depiction of all the destruction and terror that would reign if Gwyn gets her way, whereas Gwyn doesn't even get that chance. We
Yeah.
don't even know if she has a PowerPoint.
Yeah. Oh.
It's like what you said about her heirloom. If she had
Hmm.
had maybe even a chance to prove herself in the way that she proved herself to her father, maybe things could have gone a little different. But no, everybody is moving way too fast.
Yeah, I don't, yeah, this part was concerning because the fact that especially what you mentioned, the fact that she just beams in right in the middle of a square or in front of the building,
Hmm.
and it's like, well, was there a better way of doing it rather than attracting attention immediately and kind of shocking everybody?
Right. Should she had just gone down to
Yeah.
where
So
the
it's
elders were?
yeah, as far as first contacts go, that seems a bit haphazard, to put it mildly.
Yeah. And is this just, despite how much she tried to be ready, simply not knowing?
Yeah.
And again, is that her fault? I mean, I feel bad for Gwyn here, honestly. That's what it breaks down to me. And
Yeah.
she's so anxious and she's desperately preparing as much as she possibly can. It's just I think she's working with what she has and it's not enough. I did notice though, like this is a really interesting and healthy portrayal of anxiety at the very top of this
Mhm.
episode. I want to point that out because we're showing that she has anxiety for one, and that is okay. A certain amount of anxiety is healthy because it can mean, oh, I care about this thing. I care about what happens. That's important to me. And it can motivate you and to do things like prepare, like Gwen did. And that is one of the best ways to help alleviate anxiety by educating yourself or just, being as ready for a situation as you possibly can. It doesn't necessarily eliminate your anxiety, but it does arm you with information you can use as you face an
Yeah.
unknown, just like Gwyn did. And, but then we also see the fallout where even if you are prepared, you might not succeed.
Yeah.
So that is also like a really nice under the radar kind of a lesson. But, we still got so much more story to see how this plays out. It's not landing in a particularly happy spot right now, but
Yeah.
maybe it will.
And fingers crossed that she does have enough of the training and the fact that, generally about crew, learned in season one of to think quickly on their feet. At some point, at least the fighting training sort of kicks in and she does manage to escape, actual guards and basically escape into the city. So that certainly works in her favor.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
yeah.
there's one thing I forgot to put in my observations. I loved how she used her heirloom to essentially
Hmm.
zip line in
Yeah.
her escape.
Yeah. That
It's
was
so
fun.
cool when Gwen uses her heirloom as something that's not necessarily a weapon. Like in season one, how she was doing pull-ups
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
to work out. This time it's a zip line. It's just cool.
All
Well,
right.
how
What
about we
else?
talk about something else we brought up at the top
Hmm.
of the show, and that is the whole thing of secrets.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, how do we feel about Janeway asking the kids to keep a secret?
Yeah, I figure, she does probably have something in mind in terms of like incorporating their abilities because they are a very, un-Starfleet-like lot. So using their abilities and their gifts as part of the rescue, I mean, she wouldn't have had them on the ship otherwise.
Right.
But again, we don't really know precisely what that could have been because things go sideways almost immediately.
Yeah.
On the other hand, I suppose we still have I mean, she doesn't have any record of that meeting. Everything is still technically classified, which kind of begs the question, how did Nova Squadron get into Shuttle Bay 3? Because that was, I mean, Dell and Company crawled through Jeffrey tubes, as we know, they go everywhere. But how did Nova Squadron get in? I mean, it's not like they have a secret code or something, so big
It
question mark.
sounds like maybe they've heard a little more than maybe they should have heard.
That's possible. That is possible.
So,
Mm.
especially with kids around, maybe keeping a secret isn't the greatest idea to begin with.
Yeah, yeah, and I
I
think
feel like secrets are dangerous, but
yeah,
I'm an elder millennial. I grew up with stranger danger, and it's like if anybody tells you to keep a secret, chances are you don't want to do that. That's definitely still programmed in my head. And
yeah,
even though this is Janeway we're talking about, and we know her and we trust her, and the kids know that they can trust her, sometimes even somebody you can trust can tell you something or do something that is not good.
yeah,
And so secrets,
yeah, but
I'm very iffy about that. And the big reason why is because eventually they get out and look at what's happening already with this secret, coming
yeah.
out the way it is.
So, yeah, and the things are like if they weren't behaving like kids, it kind of goes back to what we talked about, maturity and learning patience. If they just literally walked out of the observation lounge, just kind of went, all right, let's discuss this, I don't know, elsewhere, or not discuss this at all. Instead, they're like, yes, we're part of a secret mission, and of course,
Honestly, they could have completely avoided that confrontation with Majel if they had
yeah.
just gone into somebody's quarters on the hush hush and
Well,
just walked through the corridor.
speaking of Majel, I mean, obviously, this is tribute to the great Majel Roddenberry. I am just so
Absolutely.
thrilled when I saw the name. I'm like, oh, that's just wonderful, and it all kind of ties into the whole thing. Where if you're new to the fandom, if you're new to the world of Star Trek, it's just like, yes, that's another. We're learning about a new species, the Vulcans, and there's one
Yep.
and pointy ears and a beautiful name. Meanwhile, if you're already part of this, it's like, this is just beautiful.
Just
What a wonderful tribute.
right. Love.
Hmm.
1,000%. All right. Well, how about we move over to the wrap up now?
Yeah.
Let's discuss what we learned from this episode. Any final discussion points? I think I kind of gave away my hand
Hmm.
at the
Yeah.
top of the show, so I'll go first.
Yeah.
And that is, I'll just repeat that it's time, people, and experience that shape who we are. And the theme runs through the whole episode in every thread of this story, which I always think is very cool when writers do that. This is especially prevalent, though, I think, with on Solemn. Gwen sees her father the way he was before he went back in time, and what a far cry he is from the diviner.
Okay.
And then on Voyager, this theme is definitely best expressed through Janeway. Her devotion to Chakotay stems from that very deep bond they forged in their years in the Delta Quadrant, getting the original Voyager home. And the connection is so deep that her mind already is made up. We can tell. We know that. She's finding him. She's bringing him home, no matter what Starfleet says. She just needed the time to be right. Well, maybe.
Yeah. Uh,
To be continued next week.
Yeah. I completely agree. This is wonderful, as you said, time, people, and experiences, the bonds that form, and the loyalty and sort of the resulting loyalty, resulting impetus for actions. And that just literally is true for every single character or group of characters. So you have, this obviously already developed between, our little ragtag group. We have Majel, who has obviously her Nova Squadron. They're very tight, but she also has a loyalty to Starfleet. I mean, like I said, it's the immediacy, which is like, okay, this is unsanctioned. I am reporting this to Starfleet Command. So she's there. She's very loyal. Yes, Janeway to Chakotay, also to her new crew. I mean, she doesn't just go
Yeah,
willy-nilly. Yes, she is supporting this classified mission that Starfleet is not happy about. But she's not just gonna do everything. Everything has to be timed. She has to be sure that this is gonna work. So, nobody's gonna suffer or God forbid die.
right.
Obviously, the loyalty of the new crew to Janeway. They see her, what a great commander she is. And then, of course, now we have the budding one between Iltharan and his daughter. It's like, yes, of course I'm going to help you. So he's already, it's like you can see that he is loyal to his daughter, even though he literally just met her. So it's lovely. This whole thing, the connection and if I may say love that we have all throughout the this well Star Trek. It's Star Trek.
Nicely said.
All right. So I think we kind of reached all our observations and points. So it's probably we reached the end of our show. So thank you everyone for joining us here on Mission Log Prodigy. If you enjoyed the show, please make sure that you like, share, and subscribe to our Mission Log Prodigy playlist on Roddenberry Entertainment YouTube channel, or if you find us on your podcast catcher of choice. Mission Log Prodigy is produced by Roddenberry Entertainment Production with technical direction by Earl Green. Our website and your opportunity to comment and connect with us is missionlogpodcast.com. And if you'd like to support Mission Log directly, you can do so at patreon.com/missionlog.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. Next week, we will take a look at Who Saves the Saviors. And don't forget to watch that episode and send us your thoughts no later than Saturday, July 13th. You can do that at missionlog-prodigy@roddenberry.com. We can't wait to hear what you have to say about that. But right now, let's hear what you had to say about Into the Breach Parts 1 and 2.
Receiving listener communications. Message playback begins.
All right, what's your name and your age?
My name is Rook and my age is 9.
Rook, the last time we did this recording, you were 7. That's crazy, right?
Yep.
All right, did you like the first 2 episodes?
Yes, I liked the first 2 episodes.
All right, what was your favorite part of the first 2 episodes?
My favorite part of the 2 episodes was when Dow snuck to the cloak ship.
You found the cloak ship, yeah?
Yeah, and when they flew the ship, the cloak ship, into the wormhole.
Oh, yeah, I know. I was just like, oh my goodness, what's happening? What did you learn from the episodes?
What I didn't think that there was a life lesson in this in these 2 episodes.
Right.
So
It's a lot of setup, right?
Yeah.
I think there's going to be things that we're going to see later on.
Yeah.
We did talk about how, Dahl probably should have done his studying, but, that's not a huge life lesson. That's just kind of like, well, do your job, right?
yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Tell everyone what's your first name and what is your age.
My name is Dietrich and my age is 6.
Did you like the episodes?
Yes.
What was your favorite part?
Where they went to the wormhole?
Where they went into the wormhole. Now, did they mean to go in the wormhole? Was that on purpose?
No.
No, it was not on purpose. What did you learn from the episode? Did you really like learning about how well Murph did against those blasters? Mm-hmm. I remember you really liked that part, didn't you? So what did you learn about Murph?
He's indestructible.
He's indestructible. Okay, well, thanks for recording this with me, Dietrich.
This is a Roddenberry podcast. For more great podcasts, visit podcast.roddenberry.com.